feel like just because they pay the bills, that means women benefit more from marriage. Women by default can never truly be 50-50 because of childbirth and its complications. Childbirth renders women incapable of truly going 50-50, so a woman will always give more in a relationship. That is why the man you date has to have more money than you. Here's a Reddit post that lists a ton of the reasons why marriage doesn't benefit women. This post really puts things into perspective, and I'm going to quickly go through this before I run the TikTok clips. So here's what the post says. High chances of ending up as a single mother. Unrealistic expectations mean that women are expected to maintain a full-time job while also doing the majority of child rearing and household chores. Loss of self-identity, because once you become a mother, society expects you to prioritize your children over their own interests. Financial burden, less money for self-care. Stagnant career progression, because usually when women get married, they're expected to halt their careers and take care of their husbands. Decreased value in the dating market, because women with kids are seen as some sort of like a disease or something. Physical changes, pregnancy and childbirth can alter a woman's body. Lack of appreciation from husbands, that is very true. Sex life expectations. There is so much pressure on married women to maintain an active sex life, and that can be overwhelming, especially if the man has a really high sex drive. Then there's a loss of attraction, because women, when they give birth, their body changes. You know, there could be stretch marks, cellulites, she could get fat, and the husband is going to be like, oh, you're fat, you got fat, and that is why I cheated on you. Unrealistic male expectations. Many men's expectations in the bedroom are influenced by pornography, creating unrealistic standards that may affect relationships. Then emotional neglect from men. Men can sometimes stop putting effort into emotional support, affection, and overall relationship maintenance, which leads to women seeking divorce. Okay, now let's go on to the reasons the post made for why marriage benefits men more. Okay, number 1, passing on their last name. Marriage allows men to carry on their family name, which can be a significant cultural value. Now this is something I will never understand. Why do women allow men to do that when they contribute very little to the entire child creation process? Why do women continuously allow themselves to be undermined by men? I will never understand. Number 2, the post says having children without the physical toll. Men can become fathers without experiencing the physical hardships of pregnancy and childbirth. That is very true. Men don't have to experience any changes in their body. They don't have to experience their pee holes getting wider and wider like women have to experience during childbirth. They don't have to experience that thing where, you know, that tearing thing. I'm not going to go into it. Oh my god, I'm getting chills just talking about it. Number 3, unchanged physical appearance, which is what I literally just talked about. Men don't face the physical changes that women often do after having children. Maintaining self-identity. Men generally are not expected to sacrifice their personal interests and self-identity in the same way women often are. Consistent sex life. Marriage typically provides men with a stable sexual relationship, something they might struggle to maintain if single. Let's add the fact that most men are also going to go outside of their marriages to have schmecks with other women. Most men do that. A lot of men, a huge chunk of men do that. And they come in and bring all sorts of STDs, so women run the risk of getting STDs if their men cheat. Also, most men are not really interested in satisfying their women schmexually. Increased status. Married men are often seen as more competent and loyal by society. Benefits of having a domestic partner. Men enjoy the advantages of home-cooked meals, cleaning, and domestic support. No career impact. Men's careers generally progress uninterrupted, while women may have to take time off for pregnancy and child rearing. In addition to that, women may also receive a pay cut just because they gave birth. Now, emotional well-being. Men often rely on their wives for emotional support, and many feel isolated and depressed when they are single. Most men often rely on their wives for emotional support versus when they are single, they feel isolated and depressed. In sickness and health, a wife is more likely to look after you if you're sick than a husband is. This is so true. Oh my god, I have witnessed this with my own eyes. A woman is more likely to take care of her husband, nurture him, support him, make sure everything is done, cook him wonderful meals. But when it comes to women, Men usually don't give that exact same support that women give in these hard times. Okay, now let's roll the TikTok clips.
Be real honest with you, men benefit greater from marriage than women.
I love this human and the original video, go watch it. They're talking about a concept that I discuss a lot on here. The fact that research shows marriage benefits men much more than women, and the happiest demographic is single, unmarried women. That's because when men get married, they take on less labor, and when women get married, they take on more. And they say something in their video that just perfectly illustrates this. In general, when we're talking about cis-het relationships, women are looking for a partnership. Men are looking for a caretaker. Before 1970-ish, women had to get married because they couldn't have a bank account, credit cards, buy a house. But now we can do everything by ourselves. But men's responses remain something along the lines of, we provide, or women want our money. Which leads me to something I've discussed here before. A lot of today's men have male gender role strain because they ignore both the data and the voices of women who they don't believe are actual experts on women, and live in this delusional 1950s world where they believe that's what today's women still want. And that's all they have to bring to the table is a job, which you'd have to have anyway, and I have too. Which is why women take on more labor when they marry cishet men, because they still expect you to live in that 1950s world with them, where all they do is provide and you do everything else. And as the original creator says, that's why you see so many men on this app saying things like, why don't women want to cook and clean for us anymore? Why don't women want to rub our back? Now, I'm not saying that hetero marriage is a scam for women. I'm just giving you the data. You can come to your own conclusions.
I made a post about how women don't benefit from marriage and the incels went crazy. In this video, we're going to go through all the reasons. But let's start here. The consensus from most men in the comments were that women do benefit from marriage through divorce. So they seem to be in agreement that the best part of marriage for women is leaving. If that were true, which it's not, I think that would make my point. Let's go through finances, child custody, and health. Is marriage worth it for women? The benefits mostly go to men. Currently, over 50% of households have a dual income. I read this as women are taking half of their own stuff. In those households, despite a dual income, women are still doing the lion's share of domestic labor and emotional labor. In a divorce, women's income drops on average by 20%. Divorced men see an average of 30% increase in their income. Post-divorce, 20% of women find themselves in poverty compared to 11% of men. Let's talk alimony. Alimony has been gender neutral since 1979. It's the breadwinner who pays. In the 1960s, 25% of men were paying alimony post-divorce. Today, that number is 10%. And I know the math is right here, but I'm going to say it anyway. 90% of marriages end with no alimony whatsoever. 90 to 95% of the time that alimony is paid, it was settled out of court, meaning a judge didn't weigh in and didn't order it. In the cases where a judge orders it, there's a large discrepancy between the spouse's income and assets. Short marriages are less likely to get any alimony. Judges are looking at if one spouse sacrificed their career or potential earnings. And so if they didn't, alimony wouldn't be awarded. Now let's talk child custody. Studies show that when fathers ask for custody, they get it. Conversely, as fathers tend not to ask for custody, they don't get it. Most custody cases are settled out of court. For absolute clarity, most fathers are giving custody to the mothers, not losing custody. Do you see the difference? Now we're going to talk about health, and that will lead me into my last point. Why do women even want to get married if it doesn't benefit them? You know when married women nag their partners? You really going to have that third beer? Babe, I think you need to go get that mole looked at with the doctor. Men seem to hate that. And yet it is the direct reason why married men live longer lives and healthier lives than unmarried men. I've read that men resist marriage because they know that it requires a substantial behavior change on their part. They associate marriage with increased responsibilities and potential financial loss. And yet, those things aren't true. Our culture sets expectations high for women and low for men. Getting married has historically brought a large change in how men see themselves and how they behave. If marriage has been a particularly strong signal of change in men's committed behavior, it would explain the stereotype of women pushing for marriage and men resisting. Tell me what you think.
I believe there are many reasons why cishet marriages are on the decline. And I'm not going to talk about all of them. But one thing I do think that has become very present to most women and men is that marriage is a safety net for men. And it creates essentially a village around him to prop him up. And for women, it is a risk. Marriage comes with risk. And the reason I say that, and it's not always the case, there's obviously nuance, but when you get married to a man and tie up your finances with him and have children with him, you take on a level of risk. Because typically, women are the ones who leave the workforce to care for children. Women are the ones whose careers take a back seat to their male counterparts. Women are the ones who are left without financial security when they stay at home with their children. Women incur a risk. They also incur a risk to their mental health, their emotional health, right? When you marry a male partner and he expects you to prop him up and to support him, to carry the mental load, to do all the domestic labor, to prioritize his career, to bear children for him, then you are viewed as a tool to his success. And in like historical cishet relationships, it didn't flow both ways. I think there's tons of marriages where it does, and that's, mine is one of them. But it's not common for everybody to have that type of dynamic. To have a partnership that truly does flow both ways, where you both have financial security, where you both have emotional security, where you both have ample opportunity and support to achieve what it is you want to achieve. So there's tons of data around the fact that men who are married live longer, and women who are married live shorter lives, and women who are single live longer lives. Women who are single tend to be happier, right? There are these statistics, and men who are single are less happy. And there's also statistics around men following a divorce or the death of a partner getting married very quickly, whereas women will stay single for longer. Because marriage, traditional marriage, was built around men and creating success and happiness for them, but it was not centered around women. And so they are less happy in traditional marriages. And so that is why I talk so much about finding equity in a relationship. That is why I advocate for women to always have some sort of social safety nets around them, because marriage does come with risk. And that might sound negative, but I believe in the institution of marriage if it works for you and your partner. I am obviously married, but I do think it comes with a risk. I have taken more hits to my career and to my mental health becoming a parent and a wife than I believe my partner has. And that's not his fault, but I think that is societal. It is, our world is built for and about and in support of men. And marriage is a part of that.
Why aren't more men asking for prenups?
Because most men will not become successful unless they are married. Outside of the entertainment industry, men are more likely to be successful if they are married, and women are more likely to be successful if they are single. You don't have to believe me, just Google it. There are a lot of people on this app, especially men on this app, who like to say that marriage doesn't benefit men, but generally marriage most often benefits only men. Whenever a child is born, a woman is typically the person that takes off time to take care of the child. And if there's a stay-at-home parent, most often it's going to be a woman who is a stay-at-home parent. And while some men like to say that that is a privilege for the woman, what it really is a financial risk that the woman is taking. She is taking time off from work. She is not furthering her career. She is dependent upon another person to be successful so that she can continue to take care of the children. She's taking a financial risk for the sake of her family. And this is a social norm, that a woman is the person who will take a financial risk, a career risk, in order to take care of the family. Men, on the other hand, get the social benefit of saying that they are married and having the support of a spouse and having the support of someone who will take care of his children while he is able to just thrive and work and further his own career. It is true that 50% of marriages end in divorce. It is true that 75% of divorces are initiated by women. So how come men don't want a prenup for their marriage? Most men don't have very much before they get married. They become successful after the marriage.
I want to know from women over 35 if cohabitating with men is really worth it.
It's been said before, but I'll say it again. Marriage isn't really good for women. Women don't benefit from being married to men. The comment section on this video is full of women who say this, happily married here, and I say this without weirdness, but if he dies first, and he knows this, LOL, I will not do it again. So many of the comments came from married women who claim to be happily married, who say they would never choose to live with a man again. And I think this speaks volumes about the dynamics that exist in our culture overall, right? When men get married, they expect their wife to take care of them, to cook for them, to clean for them, to take care of their children, to have children for them, and they go off and work. But in today's world, these women are also working. And so not only are they working full-time, but they are also expected to care for the home and the children and do exponentially more work in the home than their partner. And oftentimes these men have been raised without the information or expectation that they'll take care of the home themselves or take care of the kids. And so even when they try to help, they need a list, they need her to tell him what to do, and it's exhausting for women. It's been shown that marriage isn't actually good for women. Women who are single do better than men. Also, having children isn't really good for women, right? We have the wage gap, the motherhood penalty, and the fact that having children can put women at a higher risk of financial troubles in the future, right? Marrying men, living with men, and having children doesn't quote unquote benefit women in the same way it does men, which is why so many women say they would never do it again. And that's also why so many men remarry so fast.
I really need women to understand that marriage will benefit the man more than it will ever benefit you, like by a lot. They get someone that helps them manage their relationships with their family, plans out everything for their kids, cooks all the meals for them, does all the housekeeping, like literally everything. Like they get a fucking secretary, a maid, a chef, all those things within one person, and all they have to do is put a ring on their finger. They win every single time, which is why women tend to live longer if they are unmarried. But if you are going to get married, I need you to be as selfish as possible with your choice. Don't leave any box unchecked, because I guarantee you will be benefiting from it a lot less than him. Even in the most like progressive, non-traditional marriages, the woman is still doing more typically. So do not negotiate your non-negotiables. Do not leave certain things out that you would prefer for your partner to have. Be as selfish as humanly possible when you're choosing that person, because I guarantee you are going to be doing a lot more than them, and they are going to be benefiting a lot more.
Let's get into it. Let's talk about why marriage benefits men more than women. I would also encourage you to go look this up, because I'm just going to focus on one factor, but there's actually a lot. On average, married men make 10 to 24% more than unmarried men. Why do we suppose that is? Because they have their wife at home doing all of the unpaid emotional and domestic labor, which allows them to focus, work harder, and work longer. Now, let's assume that the wife also has a career, because that's how most households are nowadays. So you have both the husband and the wife working outside the home, but only one of them is doing the vast majority of the domestic labor. And it ain't the husband. So the wife is working all day and then coming home and working more. What does this lead to? Depression? Anxiety? Stress? That's a significant amount of pressure. And what's the result of all of this? The result is the ultimate benefit. Married men live longer than single men, but married women do not live longer than single women. Being a married woman cuts your life expectancy short.
More and more women are waking up to this harsh reality, and it is our job as content creators to help speedrun this process. I am committed to speedrunning this process. I cannot wait for women to fully realize our worth and start to change things for the better. I've realized that women don't actually want to hurt or subdue men the way men want to do to us 90% of the time. We really just want a world where women can do things without being judged just because we have female parts. We want to live our life freely, enjoy bodily autonomy, and not have to be tied to males just because society wants us to. Alright ladies, if you like this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe. I will be coming to your screens with another video tomorrow, so stay tuned, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.